automatically I send you chapter 2. But this time I say, by the way, did you enjoy chapter 1? Now my big book, or my big whatever product is, has all that and much more. Why don't you save yourself the trouble of waiting out 6 weeks and buy the whole thing right now? Well, you can be as pushy or whatever you want, but you see where we're going. You say, no, okay, never mind. Wait, free, again. And we do this for 1,000 people at the same time. We've all started at a different time and a different day. And for 25 US, I think it is, they handle the whole thing. You just set it up one time. Now, once they say, I buy, they click on another service, which I think you should pay for because it is worth it. Oh, sorry. Okay. Hang on to that because it's a slide. Let me just go forward. Let me stick logically. Oh, remember, I threw that slide out. Okay, ClickBank, www.clickbank.com, is another service that is great for people who sell digital products. So if your product is software, service, a book, things like that, stuff you can download, ClickBank enables you to handle the complete merchant parts. It's like an e-commerce site that works for you. So payment, all these things are handled. The commissions are very, very small. Again, for people who want to know more about the details, you can take that offline later on. But if you want to sell on the internet, in other words, your product is downloadable, Aweber and ClickBank are expenses I recommend you make because you get your money back. And it is very respected. People familiar with it know these names and say, this can't be a joke because these two companies protect themselves. Okay, another way of getting known and getting your website on people's horizon is something we call article marketing. Again, and I can't say this often enough, the internet is text-driven. Everybody is desperate for original content. So once you've made your own website, and I recommend that you put at least 15 to 20 pages of valuable content in there, otherwise the search engines will just pass you by. Once you've done that, you write another 20 or 30 articles. And you submit it to an article. You still have that wonderful Beijing duck on the menu. Yes, yes, of course I do. Because the answer is yes, it's not enough. Dress it up a little bit. So somebody in Chinese box actually works very hard to keep that fan page alive. You can also post pictures of the wonderful evening you had with your family when you were there for dinner. This investment, zero. And it works. For a restaurant or something in one place. Remember we looked at Puma shoes before? Same idea. I put this one in because they were in the newspaper this morning. Somebody was saying that so few big travel agents are actually on the web, interactive on the web. The big names are. Dynasty just made a big jump a few weeks ago. And it is typical e-commerce. You can surf the web, you can find the trip, the flight, the hotel, and all these things you want. You can glue it together any way you like, and then you can buy it. Now, the interesting thing is not what they do on the website. It is the remark of the managing director of Dynasty Travel. He said, it's a complementary business. A lot of our travelers are a bit older. People who don't go to the web, they will still go to our storefronts. But with an online business, we get a second group of customers. People who are more savvy on the internet, younger. So it's not that we replace one marketing tool, Shopfront and everything else, with another. No, we're going for a new group of customers to sit right next to our existing customers. And that's what I found interesting in their approach, because that's really how it works. Specifically, Kiwi is a very small New Zealand company stationed here in Singapore, and they represent about 80 New Zealand Kiwi companies who want to sell their products all over Southeast Asia. So think of lamb, think also of all sorts of other agricultural products, some clothing, fabric, a number of typical New Zealand products. Now, that is not a consumer business, so it doesn't really matter how many people hit that site through the search engines. Not so important. For him, it was more important that, first of all, the people who know him see him as a reliable, knowledgeable supplier. who can give answers. So he is building an enormous body of knowledge. He doesn't write a word himself. He all picks it up from all over the place and repurposes the content about doing business between New Zealand and China, between New Zealand and Malaysia, about technicalities in sheep's wool or whatever. But he says, in my business, my website is the place where you can find the answers. So people who have done business with it once go back because they know there are answers to be had there in simple, straightforward English. No long stories. He's also now starting a newsletter. People opt in. Remember, they said put their name down, their email. Click. They get an email back to say, are you sure? Are you really who you say you are? In which case they're now on a newsletter every month, I think, which has more opportunities and also talks about new things, new products that are coming out, or maybe new buyers that are coming out. Because his business is to match buyers and sellers in different countries. He also is at the moment joining a number of LinkedIn groups. I'll show you some examples. We're all, one way or the other, made up of people who do the same thing he does. The New Zealand Business Network, that speaks for itself. But also the Global Asia Network is people who do business all over our part of the world. And the China Trade Group is a little bit more specialized. Now, in these groups, there's an enormous amount of conversation going on, blogs, notes, and you can jump in any way you like. Personally, I think about 100 of my current contacts in LinkedIn come from dialogues that I started on groups in LinkedIn. I read a blog, I say this is interesting. I comment, not long, sometimes 20, 30 words. I agree, I think you're an idiot, whatever. You start saying what you think, and they come back, and in the end, 4 or 5 people start having a dialogue on the blog. And in the end they say, hey, I like what you say, let's connect. And then we exchange basically addresses through the network. Oh, what are you doing? Well, I'm doing this and this. Oh, well, I have somebody, and so it goes. Contact making, networking. Traditional stuff. Secretly Art is one I pulled off the internet a few days ago because I wanted to have somebody who was in the arts and crafts field. Now, it's one of these areas where shipping the product becomes very important because it's relatively small and it makes postage costs expensive. So if you want to sell a handbag or something like that over the internet, the shipping may be a big problem. So these people illustrate a few things you can do. One is you can become an aggregator. Instead of only selling your own stuff, you also get some friends on board in a similar, non-competing kind of product. And say, let me take your jewelry, your handbags, and your painted t-shirts, and let me market them, the 3 of them together. Makes it, of course, more interesting to go to the website. You can then also, with good reason, put an e-commerce element to it, which you can do, as we said, in WordPress by downloading a plugin. So you can also say, too complicated, I open my little store on eBay. Works as well. There are some very expensive courses around here in Singapore that teach you how to make millions on eBay. Okay, you will judge about that for yourself. Most of these things, just try it. Play around a bit, invest $2, $3 here and there, the cost of a stamp, and see if it works. The beauty about the internet is you can make as many mistakes as you want. And if you're careful, the penalty is very small, usually nothing. So you can correct, you can do it again and again. Okay, then the last one is an author. Somebody who writes books for a very specific niche. And there's a lot of people like that. And they're all very knowledgeable about a certain area. The problem is, in Singapore itself, their market is just nothing. Even if they could find everybody who was interested in that area, the market would still be too small. So they must go global. No choice. Unless you're happy with selling 10 copies. So it means they have to take a completely different approach. Now, the good thing about a book is at least you can do an ebook, you can download it, given the infrastructure. Now, this is the last website I want to look at, and this is a real one we're working on at the moment. Now, the first thing is, when you see this page, you have to search on what it's actually about. Now, 35% off is not a product. I find that in a million websites. So that is the headline, the first line you read, and it tells me absolutely nothing. So that's the first thing we've got to change, because I want to understand at the first glance either what the site is about or why it is good for me. After all, we want to sell products. We want to answer to your needs and wants. The second thing is we're going to go very drastically into search engine optimization. It's technical.